Well, dear Rademan, good to be talking with you again. We met in Cape Town, and I spoke. I got an education on Linebooker, and I think now we're going to be giving the BizNews community an education on Linebooker. It's an amazing business, but you started it 4 years ago. What gave you the idea?
Yeah, I think it's been an exciting journey to date. I think I'm myself and my co-founder Nick. We've been working in warehousing and logistics most of our lives, and so we felt the pain of trying to organize transport whilst we were running warehouses. And at some stage we just thought, with all the new technology that's available, there must be an easier way to coordinate customers and transport companies. So that's probably where the idea started.
And then you presumably also saw Uber, because you are the Uber for freight. When did
Yeah,
that come into your thought processes?
yeah, you're probably right in saying all of that. At that time, all of us was using Uber, Airbnb, Amazon, Take a Lot. So I probably think a little bit of everything sat in the subconscious somewhere, and just helped to build the idea on the Linebooker model.
Naude, because it makes sense. I've just got back from KwaZulu-Natal. It's my home province. I go there quite often. And that N3 between Johannesburg and Durban, especially when you get closer to Pietermaritzburg, it is chock-a-block nowadays with trucks. And a lot of them seem to be empty. Now, I've often thought that doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
Isn't there somebody kind of putting them together? Why drive with a full load from Durban to Johannesburg, but then going empty all the way back to Durban,
Yeah.
and that's a solution that you identified.
Yeah, and I think that's one part of it. And in the South African transport industry, there's literally three to 4,000 transport companies and hundreds of thousands of customers. And if you are a customer, you can't find those transport companies. That's privately owned businesses. You can't Google them. So you end up talking to three or four that you have seen or heard of somewhere. But the coordination is much better if you can talk to all of them. So it's better for the transporter that's got, as you mentioned, if they've got an empty load, or just that is the preferred, a better match if you can talk to all of those transport companies.
So, just going back a little bit, so this is the Uber of the freight industry. But obviously, not everybody's working with you, because there are still quite a lot of trucks that are driving up and down without full loads. Is that a solution? Is it feasible? Let's just say I was one of those 4,000 transport companies. I'd got my pension from wherever. I wanted to bought myself a big truck, and I wanted to start delivering freight. How would I even get involved in? How would I start to work with Linebooker?
Yeah, so for us, for most transports, it's an online registration process. And then our team, we do the vetting for the transport company. So we just check all the credentials, quality of the fleet. And once a transport company passes the vetting process, then they will be able to see loads that come over Linebooker. So that can be ad hoc loads, also contracts. So we also run contracts for customers. So they can also take part into tender for fixed contract work, which they probably would never have been able to get if you're a new or smaller transport company. For a large corporate business, you're not going to be able to tender for their work.
Well, you wouldn't know it was there, presumably.
That as well, yes. And the corporate on the other side, they don't know you. They don't have the capabilities to vet you. So they say, listen, we can't take the risk of, we don't know your new transport company. But because Linebook has done the vetting, everybody is on the same footing there, and they can tender for work on an
And
equal footing.
and what about payment? Again, I'm trying to put myself in the shoes of the entrepreneur who's entering the business. Obviously, we're going to talk about the big guys in just a moment, but when do I get paid? When I get my new truck, it's got the right tires, it's gone through your vetting process. I've now driven to Durban to go and pick up this load to bring it back to Johannesburg. Um, how am I sure that I'm actually going to get paid by the person who wants me to take the load?
Yeah, and I think that's a good point. If you talk to most transport company owners, Their sleepless nights comes from cash flow and any delay in payment, the cash flow intensive business. So for them, that's a massive risk in taking on new business. So the Linebooker offering, so we guarantee a transport company, we will pay them in 30 days. Does not matter if the customer, large corporates, they've got 60-day payment terms or 90-day payment terms. That's, we deal with that. If the transport company on the dot, 30 days, we will make sure they get paid. It's a very important part of our business. To keep a benefit to the transport companies. We will deal with the large corporates if there's some dispute on a document or payment terms. That's our business. We just want the transport companies to be able to drive and not worry about that.
So again, a parallel with Uber. If I'm an Uber driver, I get paid at the end of the trip. If there's a dispute, well, that's for Uber to sort out. But we've only spoken about the people coming into the system. I suppose a far bigger part of the BizNews community will be people who need, or companies that need, freight delivered from one part to the other. How do you deal with those businesses? What's maybe take us through the stage or the steps of signing up?
Yeah, so the misconception probably at times is that we only deal with an ad hoc load model, but customers can register online, complete some details, and then they'll have immediate access to, let's say, the ad hoc transport requests. But for a lot of large businesses, our technology also runs their fixed contract work. So because we can connect them on contract work with all the best transport companies in the country, and they can run a tender process through our platform and select fixed contract transporters to run for them. And the ad hoc transport portal is always also available. So larger businesses will probably 80% they will do fixed contract, 20% they'll keep on the ad hoc side of Linebooker. Smaller entrepreneurs, probably much easier just to put ad hoc loads on. In 30 minutes, they'll get a truck, they accept it, it happens, and Linebooker looks after it. So there's a couple of mechanisms a customer can choose.
Again, using an example, I've got a friend who's got a sizable tile business, a private company, and they get containers of tiles that get dropped off in Durban, and they need to bring them up to the Highveld where their showrooms and their warehouses are. He would presumably have someone at the moment who does the transport for him. Why would he even look at Linebooker? What's the advantage?
The key thing is the technology. So let's say you look at it you don't change your current provider, you just put technology in place. So it will save your operations team probably 30% in time. It will save your transport service provider 30% in time spent. You'll all have immediate visibility of where's every container or truck. Things that are currently done by phone calls and WhatsApps and emails. So nobody really knows, and it's a long, takes an hour to give a customer an update of where his truck is. So that's the one benefit. The other one is if that type of business runs a tender through our platform to a large base of transport companies, the potential is also there that you'll be sure that you're on the right market price for transport. Might be your current service provider, might be somebody else, but it's good business practice to run tenders frequently. And that's what I think another benefit that the Linebooker platform can provide there.
So you'll just
a market check.
You'll be sure that the price point is accurate. And I guess with long-term relationships, these can get out of kilter.
Yeah, they can. So I think it can be good for all parties if you've got a long-term relationship to just ensure everybody's on market rate, to not cause or create a dispute later.
When you talk about long-term relationships and the growth in Linebooker, where are you guys right now? Because if you've only been around for 4 years, when I think freight, I think Imperial, Supergroup, Barlow World, Unitrans. They kind of the dominant players. Do you work with them? Do you work against them?
Yeah, our platform is open to anybody. So most of those businesses also operate on our platform and to some degree. Over the last 4 years, I think we've been we had, as I mentioned, it's been an exciting journey for us. We've been able to maintain compound monthly growth rates of above 10% over 3 years.
Now stop there. Month
Yeah.
month on month, you're growing at 10% a
Compound
month.
monthly, above 10% a month for over the 3-year period.
So how much bigger are you on a year if you're compounding it monthly? It's not 120%,
Yeah.
it's much more than that.
Yeah, so now we easily double plus year on year.
That's extraordinary. I suppose it's
Yeah.
a service that's time has come, and you saw this because you were working in the warehouse in warehouses in the past. You saw the hassles that you were.
Yeah,
I
so
suppose
if
it's any
you,
entrepreneurship journey, isn't it? You try and do things better.
yeah, yeah, we've got that experience in having to arrange transport, so that definitely helped. So we think we understand a bit what our customers deal with, or their controllers. And yeah, our scale, yeah, I think we've about a year ago we moved out of the startup phase. I think we now at similar scale as the large transport operators you mentioned. We run similar size contracts for large corporates. Our daily volume is on par with those businesses. We still got a long way to go, but I think we've got strong legs now to deal with with large corporate businesses and large contracts. But we do love the smaller entrepreneurs as well. We love providing a solution that is cost effective for small businesses as well.
Nadia, just take me through that. You say you still got a long way to go. If you've now been, let's just say the fifth contender,
Yeah.
Linebooker, alongside Unitrans, Imperial, Barlow World, and Supergroup, are you, and you're roughly about the same size, or you're doing the same kind of volumes that they're doing already, which is extraordinary. How much of a market share do you guys share between you, and how much market share, in other words, is there still for you that could be available?
Yeah, that's we talk about it a lot of times. It's so lovely to be in the transport sector because the size of this market, I think it's the estimates is about 270 billion a year in terms of long haul transport. So the industry is it's a large industry, as I mean, it's seriously segregated. So there's thousands of transport businesses. You just know the brand names. But none of those brand names in the 270 billion market size has got 1 or 2% of the market. So there's lots of coordination that technology can do. It's probably a good thing. There's no dominant player. There's nobody in the market that sits with 10% of the market. It's just too big. It's cut up into smaller pieces.
But you're a massive disruptor. You're bringing in technology that people were using WhatsApps and emails to do in the past, and actually not having visibility of everything that's available. So it's a bit. It sounds to me like it's a bit like an exchange. I mean, we've used the Uber example, and that's easy to understand. But it's a bit like a stock exchange. In that, on the one hand, you've got this product, which is my truck. On the other hand, you've got a requirement, which is something that needs to be transported, and the two you put those two into the exchange, and the best price presumably wins.
Yeah, that's in a nutshell. There's a couple of pricing mechanisms, so you can go for fixed contract pricing over a period of time for a certain set of volume. You can go once off for one truck for one load. But it is a marketplace to match customers and transport companies and allow the market price to prevail there on the customer selection.
Did you get inspiration from offshore, or was this something that developed through your own experience that you shared with us earlier?
Yeah, no, I think it is the things we mentioned, those platforms that were out there, not necessarily in transport. Um, in that kind of built the idea. Bit of buy was also in there. eBay was in that thinking that's got similar pricing type of models there. And then the other platforms, I think we took inspiration from the coordination function of those networks, putting two networks together over technology and just matching the supply and demand over using technology.
What about Transnet? If they get their act together, presumably that's going to be an important factor for the whole industry.
Yeah, I think what we've seen in the currently is we can see more. It's probably not good for South Africa. We can see the rail. Lots of customers approaching us to move some of their freight onto transport, onto trucks, because they're forced to do so now. So there's a solution there, but it's important, I think, for any logistics economy to get the rail going. So yeah, I think the entire our clients definitely, some of them are taking pain because of the rail infrastructure. We can see that in the data.
How did you get to understand tech? Because this is it's a serious tech business now. And as you said
Yeah.
before, you were in the warehouse field, which is quite a long way from tech, I would imagine.
Yeah, I think we've got a good mix of people in the business. So let's say from my side and the operation side, we've got no prior experience in technology, but we got some clever developers in the business, and I think together we gel nicely. So we think of the ideas of what can work in the transport industry. The development team will have the skill to develop that, and they go and develop all our crazy ideas, and we test them and see if they work. So I think that combination works well. We've got industry experience, and we've got a development team that understands they can develop quickly and try and bring our ideas to life.
And these are South Africans, your developers.
All South African, all sitting in Cape Town. So everything is homegrown, built by the South African team here from scratch over the 4 years, and we continue. Every week we release new functionality, and we've done that for 3 years. Every week something new comes up. Some of it works, we start works well, we keep on. Some of it doesn't work, we stop. But we kind of continue with that process. Just whatever you hear from a customer, we build and we test and see if it works.
And your price point, what do you charge to both sides of this transaction?
Yeah, so a big part of where probably a little bit of the change came in when we started, we made our fees transparent. We said, listen, we charge roughly 4% of the trip values of the Linebooker fee if we take full operational control. So we take all the risk for the customer, we handle all payments, we handle all administration, then it's there. And we always make that transparent to the customer because we are not a brokerage. We let the customer and the transport company negotiate directly over the platform, and once they find each other, we will do the back office and just make sure the operations work, but we never ever negotiate price. We let the transport company and the customer negotiate. We will provide the operational service once they've made a deal.
So they know that there's 4% of whatever the deal is that's going to come to you.
Yeah, I think, and it was a bit of a change, I think, in the industry, because it creates discomfort both ways. So sometimes the customer doesn't know what a traditional broker adds on top of the transport company's rate. The transport company that drives for the traditional broker doesn't know how much the broker takes. So everybody's a little bit uncomfortable. So if we wanted to connect large volumes, we need to be transparent with the pricing. Everybody needs to know where they stand, and they've got their own choice if that's value enough or not.
I'm sure the traditional brokers are the most uncomfortable about all of this because it's clear that you're disintermediating them.
Yeah, so in the beginning there was a bit of a couple of rough patches there for sure, but I think everybody's progressed a little bit because there is need for brokers, and certain customers prefer the intermediary to manage everything for them. And there is some brokerage businesses that use our technology now to run their businesses because it makes them 30% more efficient, gives their customer visibility. And I mean, we just want our technology deployed. If the customer is comfortable dealing with that broker, we can provide our technology to the brokerage business to just deliver a better service and be more efficient.
So it's not an either or in this case. That's so interesting. How many trucks?
No.
How many trucks do you have on the platform?
Yeah, this morning's count, I think we about 16,105 and about 518 transport companies that's registered, properly vetted. So comfortable for us to say these are good operators to a customer. You can connect with them if you want.
And often when I drive on these highways, you see the trucks come from strange places. They'll have free state registration, and unfortunately, it's just FS. It doesn't tell you exactly where. But
Yeah, yeah.
is it or say one would have free state, one would be from Pumalanga, and so on. Are there transport hubs where these trucks are based nowadays? And I mean presumably outside of the big four of Imperial, Unitrans, Barlow World, and Supergroup. Outside of them, if there are so many thousand transport companies, presumably there's some big ones who might be based in places that we wouldn't even know.
Yeah, that's the interesting thing when we talked a bit earlier about is that there is customers normally don't know only know about the big of the 4 or 5 we talked about, but there are probably 100 to 100 plus private transport companies that are as big. They've got fleets as big as the corporate names we all know, and they sit in Botawil, in the Northern Transvaal, in Berkeley West, in Allowal North, in the outskirts of Durban. So they're all over the place once you get to know them. And there's players out there they've got 600 trucks. And that's more than the bigger corporates, and it's a private business, well run, professional people, but they're not out on. You won't see them on marketing or social media. They just do what they do. Um, but there's a match to be made with that transport company and some customer that they don't know about each other.
And are these guys adopting you more than maybe the names that we do know, the corporates we do know?
Yeah, I think that's. I mean, we've got most of them on, but the privateers, not all of them are on. Privately owned businesses are on the platform, so they. I can't really say there's a difference in the adoption rate. We don't solicit. Transport companies kind of get to know about us and they register, and we vet them and give them visibility. Some take part, some don't. Some just sit and watch what's happening in the market. I mean, that's a doesn't cost the transport company anything. They can just sit and watch and what the pricing does and what tenders come out. So we don't interfere in that marketplace at all.
Nadia, what's next? If you guys are growing at 10% a month, at some point in time, you will have more than the 1%. You'll be presumably the biggest player if you've already got to the size of some of the big guys. Where's your where, where you seeing Linebooker going to?
Yeah, I think we take it day by day. I think we focus on enhancing our technology, so listening to what customers are saying or transport companies and making sure we release new functionality every week. And then, I mean, other sectors we've entered the let's say the mining sector where the tippers are running. So that's sectors we kind of enter as soon as we build the transport base. Then we go and offer to customers and say, listen, we can connect you now with these transport companies. So that's probably where we are focused. We day by day we present our business, try and keep customers happy, listen what they're saying, build the technology, enhance the technology, and when in the end of the month or end of the year we look at the volumes. But we should, if we pull those levers, it will come. We're not focusing on a certain volume target at the end of a time period.
But what I'm getting at is you built a community already, as you said, more than 500 companies. Are there things that you can do that would add value to the community? Discovery have got this philosophy that if you have volume, you can get a benefit for the individual member and for Discovery and cut everybody's prices, make it good for everyone. Have you got something like that you've been able to use the buying power of the community or the size of the community to good effect?
Yeah, so there's a couple of things specifically on the transport service provider side that we focused on because we try and provide to make it as easy for those businesses to operate on Linebooker, because we want them to be on Linebooker, present competitive pricing. So we offer insurance. So we say act as an insurance buying group and try and negotiate good insurance deals and offer it over to the transport businesses. We offer transport companies diesel through diesel pricing that we can negotiate from our side. So a small transport company via Linebooker can get a good diesel price. It can buy diesel at a price that he would never be able to negotiate for his own business. So that we do. We offer settlement discounts for transport companies. So if they if they need cash flow before 30 days, we've got enough cash flow on our side to be able to do that for them. So that's on the transport company side. On the customer network side, the bigger the transport network gets, the better the supply and service gets for the customer. So, and obviously most of the technology enhancements currently is focused on the customer.
It's a big operation from everything that you've explained to us. Who are your shareholders? Who are your backers?
So we majority owned by Africa Rainbow Capital, which Dr. Patrice Mosepe's investment business. So they've been our majority shareholder from 2018, and to date they've been brilliant partners to have.
So they've obviously seen the vision and supporting you all the way there. Because when you're paying in 30 days, and you might only be paid at 60 days, there could be a capital requirement.
Yeah, it can be. To date, we've been good at managing our payments inbound, but we do run with a bit of a float to be able to ensure we can service the transport service providers and give them settlement discounts. So we've managed through our investors to do that. So that's just a backup, so we can ensure we never drop a payment to a transport supplier or be late ever.
Naude, how much longer do you think you can be growing at 10% a month?
Yeah, that's, as I said, I don't know. I mean, obviously we'll be happy with much less than that. It's a good business growth. So maybe the positive side, the market is so big. I mean, you cannot fathom the size of this. I mean, you can sign up one large contract from a large business and it can literally double the size of your business. It's one customer, because there's guys out there that do 400 loads a day. So if you sign up a contract like that, there's your compound monthly for that year done. It will sustain that. So as I said, we just take it day by day and go. We don't have to grow at those type of numbers. We will still have a good business with solid growth.
And clearly, with so much growth potential in South Africa, that must be your top priority. But you would imagine that this service throughout the continent would be very valuable.
Yeah, so for us currently organically is going there. So we do cross-border loads, then doing a couple of cross-border loads. Some customers sitting in different countries, Namibia or Mozambique or Zambia, start, because the delivery gets to them, inquiring. So we sign them up, and so you build those connections in the network kind of organically. We always have a difficult debate to say, do we set up something in Africa and spend money, or go internationally, which is all things we have to do. But then again, South Africa, the market is so big, you can't also lose the opportunity here to grow that into a proper market share.